What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Vulkan, and with me today is the CEO of Beastburst Entertainment, the developer behind Scars of Honor, Venelin. Now, Venelin, would you mind giving a quick introduction and telling us a little bit about yourself?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. Hello to the big community of Vulkan. And I'm really glad to be here. For me, I cannot really tell nothing that special unless that I'm first of all really a huge fan of the MMORPG genre. That's what drove me into game development. That's what shifted my technical knowledge into what if we decide to make something that we all gonna love to play. And that's my driving force. I'm really starting from the spot of being a huge MMORPG fan into shifting to a career journey. Let's say it like that.
Yeah, absolutely. So you said you're a lifelong MMORPG fan. What was like the first one you played that kind of got you hooked into the genre?
Well, back in the days, the first ones was like EverQuest. After that, World of Warcraft. Then I've played Age of Conan. Those games. Right now, I'm experiencing New World as a recent MMORPG, just because I would like to know, to be completely familiar with the movement of the genre. And if I have to be honest, I really miss the old days. I really miss the foundations of the MMORPG genre, because nowadays it's completely something different as a genre in general. When you take the biggest titles out there, I really don't think this is the pure MMORPG that we used to have back in the days, when the community was the driving force, when the community was the most important thing and everything was built around it. Right now, this thing is really missing. And if I have to repeat myself, this is why I decided, okay, we are missing something. We are having a huge opportunity and no one is delivering it. Why don't we use our knowledge, our technical knowledge, our driving force to make something that everyone is looking around? And that's why Scars of Honor in this moment is quite a thrilling project, and quite a lot of people are expecting it with really a lot of hype.
Yeah, absolutely. I know. And, when I first saw trailers of it and some screenshots, it immediately caught my attention, and went onto the website and started kind of consuming all the content that you guys had out there, going through the forums and all that. And it seems like a really good mix of, some modern things that make MMOs approachable for, the younger generation, but also still paying homage to those traditional things in the MMO genre. So you mentioned that, some big things are missing from traditional MMOs or MMOs these days. You mentioned community. Is there anything else that, this is really kind of missing in today's MMOs?
Well, you said it yourself. The biggest part that is missing, this is the community. The games are not built around the community, and then when you think about it, the games are not that well built to offer the community the chance to play it as long as they should. Because most of the times the games are restricted in only specific, let's say, operating system or hardware, let's say, which is not what is needed in order one MMORPG to be a successful one. When you combine the lessons from the past with the technologies that we have right now, I believe that's the perfect recipe for creating something unique, something good, something that will grow up and become one of the big MMORPGs coming up in the next years.
Absolutely. And that's, that's one thing. You mentioned New World. That was one thing that people were really excited to see kind of come back into the MMO space, was a sense of community, whether that's a player ran economy, whether that's world PvP, and kind of having that infamy, right? Oh, that's that guy that, goes out and ganks everybody. And I mentioned you mentioned World of Warcraft. Those are some of my most fond memories of those games, because you're sitting in Orgrimmar, Stormwind, and you're having those conversations, and it's one guy's looking for a group, and you're like, I don't want to go with that guy. I know he ninja'd some loot last time. So
but that was the community back then. You see, because when you see someone is looking for a tank, you see and this guy, and there is the community aspect. But if I give you just click a button over here and you go there, you can finish the whole dungeon without saying even a word. This is not a community. This is not engaging at all. And when you strip this from the MMORPG, then what we are playing?
Exactly.
MMORPG is there to be played with your friends, to make friends online, and to have some artificial world out there where you're using your avatar and enjoying your time. Exactly. Right now, this thing is missing.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And if I have to be honest, we are all inspired by other games. Giving an example, World of Warcraft was inspired by EverQuest. All the games out there, they always share something as an inspiration. Then you take this one and you modify it with your vision. Then you create your unique product. For us, we had to look over through not just one, but many games. What is good there? What is good there? How we can take this one and how we can make it better. But I think we'll go on into more details as the video goes on.
Yep, absolutely. No, and I think that's absolutely correct. And like you said, we'll touch on that here in a bit. But kind of getting back to the people behind Scars of Honor. So how big is the Beast Burst team? And I believe you guys are based in Bulgaria, is that correct?
Yes, we're based here in Bulgaria. And from the beginning of the next year, we'll get our first employees from outside of Bulgaria. We are expecting a rapid grow into the next year, because this month, by the end of December, we just marked our first year as a professional gaming studio, where we created a lot of progress that is not yet shown to the community, because we are keeping this as a surprise aspect. We always like to promise you something that we know we are sure that we can deliver, and then give you something more on top. Then you think these guys are amazing. They promised me something, but they gave me more, rather than promising you something that we truly know that we cannot achieve. Then we're reaching like 75%, because we know we will reach 50. We reach 75, but then again we haven't reached the 100% of the promises that we gave to you, and you're like, oh, these guys didn't met my expectations. That's why we are always trying to lower the barrier of the expectations and provide more. In some manner, that means we'll delay the news for the upcoming upgrades and modifications, but at the end it always pays off. It is always a matter of how you present the information. It is always important not to mislead your community. You have to be always open and always strict to what you say about what is going to happen. Give something more, they're gonna love it.
Absolutely. I mean, and that's such a big thing in not only the gaming industry, but all industries. But it seems like there's such a lack of clear and constant communication between, studios and players. And so one, I'm glad that you guys are thinking about that, because that's going to be something it's going to pay dividends just time and time and time again. We've seen with multiple game releases where something was, like you said, promised, or even it was shown off in a trailer as like a feature, and then once you get close to release,
it's not there.
Exactly, they're like we couldn't, not gonna make it.
This is awful.
Yes.
Yeah.
So no, that's fantastic, and I'm glad that that's kind of the mindset you guys are going in with.
Yeah, it is just going back again to the roots that as an MMORPG player and fan through all of these years, I have seen things which I don't like. And as any other regular MMORPG player, I know what you need and what you're gonna enjoy. And that's what we're trying to do here with Beast Burst and with the project of Scars of Honor. Going back to the previous question, how big we are at the moment 12 people. But by the end of the next year, we are expected to be at least 50. This is the minimum. So we are expecting a rapid grow in the company. Basically, by the end of December, by several weeks ago, we just presented to our dear investors what we have achieved, something that is not yet presented to the community. Mm-hmm. It's going to be a surprise, and they loved it. That secured our next year and grow of the company, which is nothing else but good news for everyone who is following Beast Burst and Scars of Honor as a project.
That is awesome. Well, congratulations, first off, about that. And secondly, that's going to be fantastic. Being able to ramp up from 12 to 50, and I'm sure all the new talent.
It changes completely the level, the level of the company, the project, and everything else. As you might seen on the website, and the quality that we try to present. We always try to go on the highest level as possible. This is what brings people to the project, because if you open one website and you see the project, the game itself, and there is nothing that catches your eye, you will not go there to read through the history, through the classes, to bother with the game at all. Mm-hmm. That's why the little details are really, really important when we are building such game. And we always have to learn lessons from the big guys there, because studios like Blizzard Entertainment, like Amazon, you see their mistakes, but you see their success, and you also would like to know why it happened like so. With Blizzard, you can always see that they're really, really focused on the details. They really want to provide their community with top-notch quality game, and this is probably 80% of their success, because they're always providing top quality. This is what we are really after, and based in Bulgaria gives us additional benefits as well as cons, because being here in Bulgaria, well, it's not fancy as being the developer in California, but in a matter of fact, we're opening our branch in California next year, so we're growing there as well in Spain and Portugal and Turkey, Istanbul. Wow. So we're opening quite a lot of headquarters just for development, just for Beast Burst and Scars of Honor, nothing else involved there. And yeah, we are really, really focused into this project, and we are really looking serious in quality-wise.
Yeah, and that's something I want to touch on too. So I remember, growing up, my friends and I, Blizzard always had that touch, right? You could always tell a Blizzard game versus another game just because their visuals, things worked, things were really smooth, things were just clicking, and everything was going well. So that's something that, I think you're absolutely right. That's 80% of what it is, and then they figure out the other 20% as they go. So, well, that's cool. So Scars of Honor, right? So let's get into kind of the nitty gritty of the game. So can you tell us a little bit about what it is? So we know MMORPG, but what are some other things if you're explaining it to somebody for the first time? How would you kind of go about describing it?
Well, if I have to go with one sentence, and I'll go deeper after that, it is MMORPG taking the old school roots, applying them with modern technology. Going back to the roots of the MMORPG genre means to be focused only around the community and provide the community with what they really would like to see. To be able to filter what is really a good thing and what is a bad thing. Scars of Honor will be traditional top target MMORPG provided on PC, Mac OS, Linux, and something that we are still trying to uncover. But it won't be only those platforms. We will leave the imagination for the community. But we are having a big one there. Something that is not yet seen anywhere. We are really happy to be partners with Unity Game Engine, which are really supporting us on this journey, because they themselves know how big of a project is MMORPG to be created, and it's really an honor for them that there is someone somewhere working on such big project as a scale with their game engine. And if we have to dig into features, it has quite a lot distinguishing features. One of them is like scalable dungeons, which will give you the ability to repeat the dungeon with different mechanics, with different bosses, with different scenarios all over and over again. Because in previous games we have seen that you're progressing through the levels, but as you progress, some dungeons become outdated to you. You have no reason to go there because the gear you get is just irrelevant to you.
Yeah.
You cannot use it. This is one thing that is really separating us from others. One of the other big ones is we really want to go deeper into refactoring the quest systems. I'm really not a big fan of go kill 5 wolves, bring me 5 carrots, and just repeat over and over again with replacing the wolves with rabbits and sheep and so on. This is really boring, and this shouldn't be the way how you progress. It becomes boring, so you have to just go there, level your character, and be impatient to reach end game content in order to have some fun. So in my understanding, and by understanding of everyone who is working in Beast Burst Entertainment, the whole leveling journey should be exciting, should not be easily rewarding, because in current games we really see no value in receiving a specific item. The quality of it is really unimportant. If you have a blue item or epic item, rare item or epic item, it's really not big of a deal. Things are really easily obtainable, and this is again something that is against the rules of the MMORPG genre. You invest your time in order to get something back. And what is really separating us from all the others is that we would like to build everything else mentioned earlier, and we will build it without any pay to win model. MMORPGs are there to be played by a massive number of players. How are we gonna achieve that? Just give it for free. Then you have everyone who is into this genre able to go inside and play. Then comes the next question: how, if you give something that is, let's say, good on really nice quality, and you give it for free, how you gonna monetize, and how you gonna keep the non-pay to win factors there? It's really easy. The freemium model is out there for several years, and none of the big studios are using it. So you see there are big gaps piling one after another, and that's why the MMORPG genre is going down. But if you think on the other way, it is the best time for you, when you know these missing gaps, to go in as an additional player on the market. How you gonna have this thing? Just put some cosmetics on the shop, put something that is changing only visually, not giving you any kind of additional benefits over the other players. Because if you ask me, if I have 100% of player base, 80% or even more will not pay a dime for playing the game. But that's fine. That's perfect. Because those 80 or 85 or even 90% of the people are the driving force of those 10 or 5 or doesn't matter how many percent of the people who are going to pay. You see, here it is extremely important to have huge number of players online. Then the game makes sense. Then the project can move on and grow from there.
Absolutely. And I think, so a couple things. One, kind of jumping back to the dungeon thing you mentioned. Love that aspect. Because that's something that, you know, as you're going through and you're playing and you're trying to, you know, whether it's figure out different content to run with friends or whether it's just reliving some of the stuff. You know, I know people go back and rerun Dead Mines like 50 times. But once you get too high of a level, then it becomes a cakewalk, or you hit the situation where, you know, you're trying to level with a friend and you're 15 levels higher than them, and they're trying to do a dungeon, but they're struggling because it's too high, or it's too much of a cakewalk for you because it's too low. So I think being able to kind of either add modifiers or scale between those two is going to kind of keep that content fresh. So I like that.
And what you said is additional barrier between playing with friends. The MMORPG is about to be played with friends, and if the level difference is what is going to stop you to play with your friends, here is a whole another wall between you and the genre itself.
Exactly.
These are problems that have to be solved. That have to be solved in a way that they're not going to ruin the game. And this is what we are really focused on: finding the problems and solving the problems of the genre. We are not saying that Scars of Honor will be problem solver for the MMORPG genre, but I guarantee you, it will solve lots of problems.
Good. That's good to hear. So one thing, you know, kind of going to the freemium business plan, I know that works really well for some of the games out there. Do you have any concern with that pushing players away because it's not a subscription or a box price game?
No, not really. It is easier entrance than ever before. It's free. You can go. You can test it yourself, and then you can be surprised. That's the aim. That's the aim. And the first minutes of the game are the crucial ones.
Yes.
This is what is really important, and where we're strictly focused to give the best experience. Because if we give you crappy 5 minutes, then everything else is
doesn't matter.
Worthless. Yeah, it doesn't matter. That's why everything starts from the first picture that you see, the first art that you see. You know nothing about Scars of Honor. Beastburst is a company of 1 year out there trying to do the impossible, that a lot of people will say. But this is a driving force. And showing the good art, then showing a good content, then getting the player into the game and showing him good gameplay. This is a chain of steps that you have to be polished in order to be successful. This is why MMORPGs are tough to be made, because you have so many things on the chain that needs to be on a quality level. And if you skip something, it breaks and it doesn't work. This is why you have to give yourself time. You have to work together with community, because if I keep something away from you and I'm telling you like 3 years, oh, it's gonna be amazing, oh, it's gonna be amazing, and then I show it to you like, what is this?
Yeah.
What is this? Then my chances of failing are way bigger if I'm building something and I'm reaching you. You see what I've did? We're thinking it's gonna be good like that. Do you think so? And then 100 other people together with you, you say, "Oh, this thing is really a crap." But then 95 other people say, "This thing is amazing." You see, this is why you don't have to rely only on yourself. Me as a developer, I think it's gonna be amazing, but 95% can say, "Oh, this thing is a crap," or "I think this thing is a crap." 95% says this thing is amazing. And again, everything goes back to the community. If we are making game that's gonna be played by the community, let's build it with the community.
Absolutely.
Then our chances of success are way, 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 way bigger. You know that you're gonna play the game when it's released. If you've been there like 2 years with the development, you know what is it, you know how it progressed. You have a specific relationship with this project, and the journey you had with the game is nothing that you had previously. There is no studio out there that was building the game hands to hands with the community.
Exactly. And
it's really frustrating, and it's like, why we are giving these questions right now. It's really something that I cannot answer myself. Why there was nobody previously who was interested and focused to work together with the community? This is really a question why I cannot answer.
Exactly. I mean, more minds, right? And especially feedback. I mean, you get into feedback sessions, you get into test sessions, and pulling people in. Exactly. So, I mean, why not bring everybody in? So
the developers, the capabilities of the developers are like 30% of the success of the project. The other 70% are the feedback and how the community will get your product. If you don't have this, you don't know what you're building. As simple as that.
Exactly. And that's what always leads to letdowns, right? Because people see a little bit of concept art, they hear, they read a couple sentences or paragraphs, and then their imagination starts working. And then next thing you know, they get the game, they're like, oh, this isn't anything what I imagined that it was going to be. So
exactly.
Yeah.
The hype can be a good thing, but it can be also a really bad thing.
Yes.
Because if you say for one project, oh, it's gonna be the next biggest MMORPG, it's gonna be the best ever made, etc., etc., etc. This is really, really not very beneficial for the project itself. Let's say the project reaches number 2 or number 3 on most ever played MMORPGs. This is huge success. Yeah. This is huge success. But for the person who was thinking this is gonna be number 1 by all the charts ever, this thing is failure.
Exactly.
You see?
And I've seen this. So I'm in the action RPG genre. There's a game called Last Epoch, and they started off very small indie studio, and they had they're like, we just want to make our own version of a Path of Exile / Diablo 2 inspired game. And that was like 3 or 4 years ago, and over time, more and more people have gotten involved with the project and given feedback. They've had open testing sessions, open betas, and now the game's just open. You can play it. And it's been amazing seeing what the community brings to the table in terms of, hey, this isn't working, this is working, here's an idea you guys should do. And seeing those actually end up in the game, one, is awesome. But two, it just shows that, developers aren't always, or at least the people at the at certain positions in the studio, they're not always gamers, right? Or they don't play as much. So being able to take, feedback or action items from individuals who actually spend a ton of time in the game is crucial. I think that's the way games should be developed going forward. Now, there is too much of a good thing, right? So it has to be a balance between taking all the feedback and not taking any. But yeah, but it's such a free, like, wealth of knowledge that you can tap into. And
it's there for you to take it.
Exactly. It's not like they're going to charge you for it. So it's like, people are going to put their opinions out there.
It is actually the other way around. Not that they are going to charge you. Most likely you're going to charge them in future. It's exactly the opposite, and people are not doing it. Why the studios were not focused previously on that? It's again the question that cannot be answered.
Exactly. So I heard you talk about dungeons. Would you say Scars of Honor is more of a PvP or a PvE focused game, or is there PvP elements?
Scars of Honor is completely balanced between both, because me as an MMORPG player, I really love to enjoy both of them, because there are times where I think the PvP is what excites me more than because of the war. Let's say it's really important how the war is presented. How the villains out there are presented. I'm really into going there, exploring the dungeon, the ride, and on that sense, I really think it should be well balanced between both. Because if you're a strictly PvP player, why should we lose you when we can offer you systems, when we can offer you battlegrounds, guild wars, etc., features to give you enjoyable time? Then, on the other hand, starting as a PvP player in the beginning doesn't mean that you cannot switch to the other aspect of the game. And MMORPG by itself is combination of both. Otherwise, it moves to different genre.
Yes.
If it has to be, for example, if you buy a car, you want to have an engine and you want to have a tires. You don't want just one of them.
That's good.
It is a combination.
Yeah.
This is why it's important for us to have everything into the mix. Let's say it like that.
So, full loop PvP, open world PvP, instance PvP.
All of them.
All of them.
All of them.
Man.
There it is. Strictly important, and what we are building and what we are developing at the moment, what we are trying on, is to provide you ability to play on a larger scale of PvP. That means huge numbers on one side, huge numbers on the other, and your computer not blowing up from this. This is really important.
Yeah.
Well, it will have restrictions, especially in the beginning, when we release it for testing, etc. We will find the bips and bobs that needs to be changed here and there. But again, going back, the game is about to be played by a massive number of players, and playing 5 versus 5, yeah, it's fine, it's good. But if I tell you you're playing like 100 versus 100, it's something different, right?
Yes.
It changes your understanding of the battle itself. And wars in general, they are led by lots of people.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it moves to a different scale.
Gotcha. Okay. And speaking of wars, so it looks like, Scars of Honor is going to have two factions, right? The Sacred Order and the Domination. And before our interview, you were talking about the wallpapers we have here, and it looks like we're representing both factions. So,
yes, we do.
High overview, kind of what's the, I guess, I'll say the gist of each faction. Like, what do the Sacred Order stand for and the Domination stand for?
Basically, they're complete opposites, and it's required to be complete opposites. Because in life there is always two ways that you can go into a problem, or one is chaos, the other is order. One of them cannot exist without the other. So it's always, the truth is always somewhere in the middle between both, but they should be always in constant war between each other because of the values, because of the way they interact into same scenario. Let's say people can say, oh, I'm more like infernal demons, who are like always power hungry, who are like always going to do whatever they need to do in order to achieve their goals. Or they're more like peace loving people, like barons, for example. But that doesn't mean that they are weaker, because if you make such person if you are against such person, you can unleash the full fury of one grizzly bear who can like tear you apart. Otherwise, it looks like fluffy thing when you look over it. And this really allows both factions to have unique flavors, and everyone will be able to recognize himself in one of the races in those two factions.
So it looks like we have Baron. Is this Baron Paladin? Is this a Baron Druid?
Exactly.
And then on yours, is that a Necromancer or is that a Witch?
Necromancer. Inferno. And then we have the Warrior Inferno Demon behind. And that means by just your understanding of what you're seeing on the pictures, that means we created the wallpaper as well.
Yes.
Because if I was here to describe you what is the Baron above you, what is the Inferno Demon behind me, then it means we didn't made it good enough for people to understand it just by one look.
Yes.
And you see how you have to go into details to make the community right away understand what you're trying to show here.
Exactly. So, speaking of traditional stuff, is there obviously there's certain races for each faction, but are there certain classes for each faction? Did you go kind of that far where classic World of Warcraft only has a Paladin on Alliance and Shaman on Horde?
This will, completely understand, and I think this will create a problem when we're speaking about balancing. That's why we really would like to probably create specific versions of the same class, which will going to be available for one faction and not available for the other. But it should be like strictly balanced. This is a really important moment when you have to create the balance. That's why we're quite at early stage at the moment to give a final decision. Yes, we're gonna keep one class for one faction and another class for the other faction. At the moment, we are more into the idea that if we go that route, these classes should be completely replaceable by alternative class in the other faction. How we gonna do that? We gonna decide in later stage, or we're just going to go easy mode and just say, if there is a warrior, let's say in a sacred order, we'll have a warrior in domination, and that's the easy approach. Warrior is just an example of a class.
Of course.
It can be all the classes.
Absolutely. No, I think that's awesome. And will those different classes have the same skills, or will they have kind of individual skills based upon their faction? You know, like let's say like a Paladin, for instance. You know, Paladin has like Holy Strike on Sacred Order, but has like Corrupted Strike on Domination.
Exactly, that's the idea.
Gotcha.
That's the idea of the alternative approach. Let's say the Holy Paladin, which thrives on the light, for example. On the other hand, we can have Dark Paladin or Dead Paladin or something like this. It's not really yet focused, but it will do if, let's say, Holy Shock, just some made up spell, hits you for 1000 holy damage. We can create, let's say, Death Shock, which hits you for 1000
like
shadow damage, for example. It is exactly the same. Presented in different way, different visuals, etc. Gives a different feeling, but at the end it's completely balanced, because it is, at the end of the day, it is the same. Well, you can have resistance on holy, you can have resistance on shadow, but that's up to you to decide. For example, you know that as a member of Sacred Order, you would like to have more shadow resistance because you're playing against domination paladins, for example. And there are many ways to achieve this and to make it fun and exciting to be played.
And I like that, because it helps create a sense of identity, especially when you know you're deciding on a faction's a huge choice. You know, it always is, and you know, being able to jump into one or the other and then seeing the exact same spells, it kind of loses some of that individualism.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so being able to have a just same spell, just a different version that kind of helps reinforce that, this is why I chose, Sacred Order, or this is why I chose Domination.
Exactly.
So we talked a lot about some of the dungeons and questing and stuff like that. So besides those, do you guys plan to have things like raids? Because I saw the wallpaper for Solargion and the Night Dragon, and jumped into the forums and saw that he's going to be a boss, and I am stoked. So is he going to be a 5-player boss? Is it going to be a raid boss? I'm just kind of curious on that.
Completely raid boss. And here again, we're speaking into big numbers. 5 players is more like a dungeon. It's a small dungeon. On that sense, we're planning to create a bigger dungeons, 10-man dungeons, not raids. When we speak about raids, we are speaking always 15 and more. 15 going to 50 people. So we start from 15 to 50. It will be again with different modifiers, with different mechanics. Again, going back, everything ties back to the aspect that it's better when it's played with friends, with more people. Then it gives the sense of a community. Then it gives a sense of MMORPG. That's why we really try to push up the boundaries of required number of people to play something.
Absolutely, and I saw that one of his mechanics is that he changes damage elements. And there's little clues you kind of have to pick up to know what type of element he's gonna be dealing. So
every time it's gonna be different, yeah.
Exactly. So little stuff like that, I love. It's gonna keep things fresh. But yeah, so kind of talking more about the races, the classes. We touched on those quite a bit. When will we figure out more about the classes? Right. I want to know more about like the witch, the pirate, the paladin. I was looking on the website and I was like, there's nothing out there quite yet. So
yeah, and there is a reason behind that, because as the followers of Scars of Honor knows, we have a specific set of races at the moment, which we already presented to the community. But then when we get back the feedback, then we decided that there are some things that needs to be changed. What I'm speaking of is we decided to replace one of the races, and we throw up this information into our Discord servers, and everybody was like, why you're doing this? And there is a reason behind it, because there are always, as I started earlier in the video, some races which are most enjoyed because they're different, they're unique, and then there are some races that we've seen them like on pretty much all the MMORPGs. We're kind of already bored with them because we've played them, and we want to get something new. So I'm gonna give a present to the video. I'm going to announce which is going to be the removed race and what is going to replace it. The removed race is gonna be the Minotaur.
Okay.
We are going to remove that one, and we are going to replace it with again a big, strong race that have a specific flavor, if I can say it like so. A race who's gonna be called Borgen. This is Borgen. Yeah, this is a boar-like,
cool.
big, strong, unapologizing creature.
Just crushing
completely different from the peace-loving and nature-living Minotaurs. Borgens don't stop before anything. They are just there to do whatever they like. And we're going to present soon our concepts about it. We already have something developed, not yet completely finished and polished, and we're going to do that in the beginning of January. But for your viewers, they will know upfront who's gonna be the removed race and what will come there.
That's awesome. So Borgans just don't say sorry to anybody and just crush everything.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Cannot wait to see them.
Yeah.
So will they have the same available classes, or will those be switching as well?
Well, we'll be switching the classes there because, for example, for Borgin, Priest doesn't suits him very, very well.
Yeah.
So we are going to revisit the classes there, and we are going to be final when we release it. And going to the topic with the classes, why they are not yet released. That's the reason why, because we want to throw the ideas. We want them to lie down a bit to get back the feedback from the community, and then see if we can build something on top of it, create the unique flavor of the class itself. And once it's released, we would like to give us like 5% chance something to be switched and changed before the release, because if we draw the whole picture with the classes right now, until the release of the game, there are probably 2 or 3 years, we may end up removing or changing 40-30%, which is quite a lot.
Yeah.
That's why it will be better to wait a bit and then show it, then change something, then release it. And yeah, that's why.
Goes back to that communication piece.
Exactly.
Perfect. So, on the subject of classes, is your game plan to have kind of the old school style talent trees, or something different when it comes to progression and working your way down? You level up, you get a point, spend it somewhere.
Well, not really. We think that we should give you enough customization. A lot of choices, but the path you would like to go shouldn't be rewarded like with each level. What I mean by this is that if, for example, you're you would like to be a fire mage and you're really into pyromancy or something like that, you should go on a quest line, you should go on a journey, you should go on specific dungeons, which gives you more skills into your pyromancy, which gives you more experience into that area. Not just participating, just practicing your fire spells will give you more experience and knowledge in that sense. It is pretty much the same as in life. If I'm practicing programming, more I programmed it, more talents I have inside. It's not that I'm just practicing my profession as a programmer and you see I'm a surgeon as well.
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense.
Surprise.
Doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
You see, that's why the talent trees should be focused on what you really enjoy, what you're practicing, and it makes sense.
Yeah.
For me, it really makes sense.
Yeah. Use fire spells, get fire experience, unlock more fire spells, skills.
Exactly. And you go deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper, but you go deeper in your area. This is the same in life. If you go like everywhere, 5 years later you're specialist in nothing.
Yeah.
That's why.
Exactly. So, do you plan on having skills unlock as you earn that experience, or will there be other ways to kind of unlock and earn skills, like the old school tome method? Gotcha.
It is combination of both. Time progresses, you get more. How to say? You unlock some of them. For some, you go on a specific quest lines, journeys, etc.
Gotcha.
This is how they gonna unlock.
See, that type of stuff I really like, because it's those big like triumph moments, right? Like, oh man, this just happened. I'm so excited. I finally got this, or I finally kind of reached this milestone. So those are important, and I feel like those aren't as highlighted in MMOs these days.
Yeah.
I feel like those moments are just kind of downplayed, and it should be every time I get online, I should be able to unlock something, and it loses its effectiveness. And then the last thing I had question-wise was, are there going to be any weapon restrictions or anything like that for classes, or is it going to be like a free-for-all?
Well, there will be restrictions for specific classes, etc. But again, this is gonna be cleared once we give up the information around the classes themselves.
Perfect.
But it won't be free for all.
Gotcha. All right, so I know I talked about it a little bit before, especially when we were looking at these new wallpapers. But I love the art style. That was something that immediately caught my eye when I very first saw this game. Is just the art style just was fantastic. It has kind of the early to mid 2000s like high fantasy kind of not like cartoon inspired visuals, but kind of like that. It's, you know, vibrant colors, a really good palette. So what kind of drove you towards this art style versus something like, let's say like Rift or ESO, for instance, where it's more like realistic?
Yeah. Well, the stylized look has something that the others don't. And this is pretty simple. Stylized look, 20 years ago until now, it stays relevant. Because if we decide to go into realistic design, realistic look, by the time we release the game, it may be outdated. I'll give you an example. Look back to Half-Life 2 when it was released. It was like a huge hit with the ultimate graphics that it has. If you look at it right now, it's like, did I really enjoy this game and how it was looking?
So bland.
That's why. Yeah,
absolutely. And see, and you're absolutely right. You know, you look at same example with Rift, you know, you go back and I remember when Rift first came out, it was, wow, this is so realistic. Like this just looks fantastic. And then you go back and play it a couple years later, and you're like, this is rough. But yeah, stylized look stands the test of time and love that.
Exactly.
So last two questions here. So one, I would say, what is the biggest accomplishment for the studio this year?
Most of all, the engagement with the community, the fact that we were able to make our first official test, the feedback that we got from it was more than better than we expected. Then the forming of the unique and really good team in Beast Burst. This is number one priority when it comes to assembling the team, to be sure that you get only the best possible people into their positions, and the overall achievement that we managed to present into the community, into investors. This is our biggest accomplishment.
That's awesome. So, and congratulations on everything, you know, this past year and everything that Beast Burst has been able to do, and Scars of Honor's growth. I remember I first saw it back in February last year, this year, I guess, which it's grown like crazy since then.
More than 10 times for, yeah.
It's insane. So,
and we are not doing any kind of marketing campaigns there. Nothing, just the feedback from the community, and this is really a huge motivator.
Absolutely. It's fantastic. So before we wrap up, a couple questions. One, is there anything else you'd like to let everybody know about Scars of Honor?
Basically, everything is announced at our website, scarsofhonor.com. There is what we provide as updates and changes that we do on the project. Rather than that, I think we covered pretty much all of it into the video. Awesome.
And then we're still a few years out on Scars of Honor in terms of release date, right?
Yes, we do. The expected year for release at this stage is around end of 2024 or middle 2025. But this is quite early yet to be strictly set as a date. This is just orientation at the moment, nothing else.
Exactly. And I'm super pumped to follow along with it, you know.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Like just seeing what you guys have done so far, and then the team just exploding next year up to 50. It's going to be incredible to see what else comes out of Beast Burst. So But yeah, so thank you one so much for joining us today. A lot of awesome information. Very excited for this one, and I also appreciate the little gift of what race is being removed and the new race that's being added in. I mean, I am pumped up to get my eyes on that one. So thank you.
It's been a pleasure for me. Thank you for having me. And I'm always up if we have something else new to discuss to do it once again. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Absolutely, anytime. All the links for Scars of Honor are in the description below, so go out, check them out, and leave a comment below on what you think of the game and everything else. Thanks, guys. I'll talk to you on the next one.
Thank you.